For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're going to talk about some things that I think you can relate to. If you are a consumer of products, which I think you all are, you probably have an opinion on the way companies market to you, right? Back in the day, it was telemarketing phone calls, then it was spam emails. Now it's getting really intrusive with text messaging. Do you want a company to text you, or is texting sort of reserved for your friends and family? We're going to talk about that. And there was also a marketing ploy that a realtor had deployed in my neighborhood that is a little intrusive and kind of creepy, at least in my opinion. But you might have a different opinion, because with my team here, I thought that they would all have my back and agree with me. That was not the case. Those details are coming up. And also, we're going to talk about smells, aromas, fragrances. Yeah, I'll have more info on that topic coming up in just a little bit. So it's 30 minutes of time-wasting fun. We always guarantee that right here on The Scribble. My name is Jeremy Bradley, and the fun gets underway right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. You know that I love sharing my opinion. That's the whole point of this show. And then I also like putting a question or a comment or a story out there and then seeing how you respond. Now, I've got to tell you that I've worked with this group of people in the room. You can't see them, but there's three. There should be four. Who left? Somebody's gone. Anyway, maybe I don't know them as well as I'm about to set up this story with. So generally when we have discussions about, the news or something that's happening, entertainment story or some kind of discussion point for this show, I think that I know them pretty well, that I basically have a general idea of how somebody's going to, like, what their opinion will be of such and such topic, right? And that's the same thing with your partner, your parents, somebody that you spend a lot of time with, right? Your coworkers. If you literally physically sit beside each other day after day, you kind of pick up on the way they think and how they feel about things. Well, I was absolutely wrong on this one, so I'm going to tell you the story about what happened. And because I don't know, we actually are divided, and the people who I thought would believe one thing or feel one way felt the exact opposite, and then the people who I thought would be cool with this story were, again, okay, here's the deal. So I came home the other day, and I don't live in a big, gated community. I don't live in the projects. I'm just on a regular street, okay? There's no whoop-de-doo with my street. There's no, huge, crime. I don't feel unsafe in my neighborhood, but it's also not a, ritzy, glitzy, glamorous area, I guess is what my point is. And so I came home one day, came through the front door. Usually we've got a big driveway and stuff in the back, but I had come from the front, so I don't know exactly where I was or what I was doing. Point is that there was something on my front stairs, and I was like, okay. And, sometimes you get, restaurant menus or a... will cut your grass kind of, those little flyers and things like that. This was just kind of thrown on the front stairs. So I go up to the front stairs and I look, and it was a calendar for next year. And it had a picture of my house on it. It was very strange that this realtor is going around and sending people calendars, but they've gone and taken pictures of your house. And so, did you hear the way I said house? Like, I'm even as I'm saying it, I'm getting creeped out. And I realize there's nothing. I mean, look, Google did that, right? I mean, they basically went and photographed every city, every nook and cranny of your neighborhood. But there's something about taking a picture, and this thing was also laminated. So this is what, it's not like it was just some sort of printout folded on your stairs in an envelope. Like, I mean, there was some production on this. So the fact that they go up and down the streets taking pictures of people's houses, then they go back to their office, whatever they do, and they dump all these pictures onto a calendar, print them, get them laminated, and then head back out. I almost feel like my property, my home, is being stalked. Because do you get what I'm going here? Like, you've come onto my property. It's not like you're just driving by. Now you're physically coming onto my property and it was very weird to me. So here's where we have a big discussion, and we're half and half on this. Half the people said, "Oh, I think it's pretty cool. You know, you get this thing with." First of all, why do I want a picture of my house? I know what my house looks like. I've lived in it for 14 years. I can go and take a picture of my house, and then people were saying, yeah, it's a nice gesture. It's a, cool thing. You put it on the fridge, whatever. Who puts a picture of their house on their fridge? Isn't that just weird? And see, even when my voice goes up like that, like, that I'm right. You get it. You see, it was very strange to me. I don't know. So I would like to know what you think. Is this a good marketing ploy? Does it creep you out to know, hey, somebody's like driving by and taking pictures of my house and then going and like filing it in their computer system somewhere and then coming and making things and dropping out my steps? It was a little intrusive for me. This is where somebody had said to me, well, you should live in a gated community then and you wouldn't have this problem. No, I just think, like, I realize that you have to do something now to stand out, right? People aren't responding to telemarketing phone calls. Spam email is all the rage these days. And you know what? Let me get into another. I'll finish this. Let me get into companies texting me or have I already talked about that? And so, like, there's just all of these things where, your company has to try to stand out. And, okay, is it creative? I guess so. Is it intrusive? A little bit, quite a bit, for me anyway. Just to know that somebody is like scoping out your property, and that's the thing. Anybody can go and take a picture. I can go and take a picture of my house, print it, but like, what's the? I don't know. That'd be like taking a picture of your car and putting it on the fridge. Like, I don't know. Would you want somebody to have like come by your driveway and taken a picture of your vehicle and then made something? Like, it just feels like you're being stalked. So send me an email. Tell me what you think of this. The email address is live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. Again, people are sort of half and half, where it's cute and creative and clever, or it's a little bit creepy. It's all the C words today. I'm not going to get into the other C words that it makes me think of. Now, I mentioned texting because I had another instance where, maybe I was coming back from the vet with the dog. Anyway, we went to a new vet after our dog had passed away, just because he was just a dick. He was just very odd and strange. And the reason why we started going to him in the first place was because he was close to my house. And so that I just sort of realized after a few years, like, I kind of felt like my dog knows him. He likes going there, whatever, But when one of my dogs died a couple of years ago, the doctor was very kind of just odd. And when my dog Ernie, the golden retriever, had an eye infection, earlier a few months ago, and then even about a year ago, he had this weird issue with his leg, and he had an infection, and things happened. And so I remember, like, I've always tried to make sort of conversation with this doctor, and his responses are always weird. And so I said to him, the dog had to have like x-rays and scans and whatever just to see if the infection was in his like nether regions. And so he's like, well, it could be cancer, it could be this. I get that. He was 13 years old at the time. And so we do this battery of tests. I think it was like $1,200. And so he's giving me the rundown of all this. And then at the end I said, so on a scale of 1 to 10, like, he's in pretty good shape for his age then, right? The doctor's response, not shitting you, the doctor's response was, well, I wouldn't want him to be my dog. I can't. That's honestly what you say to say. 13 years old to go and say there's no signs of arthritis, there's no signs of cancer, like there's, really nothing wrong with this dog. He's slowing down a little bit. He's 13. I mean, a golden retriever usually lives 10 to 12 years. He's already passed, his expiration, if you want to call it that. And I just remember going, wow, all right, well, I think I'm going to go home now. Thanks for that confidence. Yeah, wow, you make me feel really good about, the health of my dog. Right? Most doctors, you'd think that's a good thing. Mine, I wouldn't want him to be my dog. Yeah. So we said, fuck you, and we went to somebody else. Now, here's the thing. We go to this other doctor, and the reason why we went there was because we had to have our dog put to sleep. And they were very compassionate, very nice, just made it super comfortable. And so I said, okay, well, when we get a new dog then, let's just move, everything there, and we'll have files and whatever. And so we go there. They were very nice. We're going to go with a puppy, and so all the girls at the front desk are, excited. There's a cute little puppy in the office. We go into the appointment, we do the first checkup and shots and whatever, and then we come out, and then one of the girls says, oh, can I take a picture of him for our social media pages? And I said, yeah, okay, fine, whatever, go for it. And so she's trying to, get him to, he's more excited about everything that's happening there, right? So he's not sitting nicely for a picture for them. And so she's trying to get all these pictures, and so she's like, oh, cool, so I can post it. What's his name? And I said, well, he actually doesn't have a name yet. We're still trying to figure it out. When his personality, comes through a little bit more, and, I have a better idea. I said, it might not be for a while yet. I said, I've toyed with a couple of names and whatever. And she's like, oh, well, which ones? And so I told her the names that we were thinking of. Oh my God, I love that one. I said, oh, okay. Hey, why don't you ask, ask your people on social media, to vote or, see what they think. And she's like, oh yeah, that's great. Meanwhile, remember, look, I've done radio and broadcasting and PR and social media for, how many years with our projects, right? Even my dog Ernie was named through a contest on the radio show just because we did something. So that's where I kind of had that suggestion for them. So she's like, oh, okay, great. And so that was fine. That was a Friday. On the Saturday morning, I'm in the bathtub, which is kind of my thing. And I get this phone call from her, and she's like, oh, hey, it's so-and-so from, the vet's office. And I was like, oh, hi. What were the two names that you said again? And I told her the names again. Okay, great. Yeah, gonna post it today. Yeah, thanks so much. Okay, cool. And then I think it was the next day. I think it was the Sunday. It was still within that weekend that she then started texting me. Oh, hey, this is so-and-so from, veterinary hospital. Did you see the post? Blah, blah. And so that to me was crossing the line. I'm very particular about texting. I just don't want businesses texting is like for friends, family, even coworker. I just don't do work stuff by text. When we were booking, when I was booking celebrity guests for the radio shows and things like that, I'd have publicists would be texting me. I don't know. It just wasn't, I didn't like it. And so now, you have your furnace cleaner is texting you because you get them to clean your furnace one time. And then all of a sudden, you're getting, or your dentist, right? Your dentist is now sending you postcards in the mail. They're calling you and they're texting you, reminding you that you're due for cleaning. How about you fuck off and I decide when I'm ready for cleaning? Thank you so much. And so the fact that this person, now here's basically, I'm assuming what happened because I did not give this girl my phone number. Okay, I did not. So what you've done is you have gone into my file, you've grabbed my cell phone number, you are now using your phone to text me from my file something that's not really quite related to my point. And so she's like, oh, well, and then she just kept going on. I said, she's like, oh, so our people picked, whatever name, are you going to go with that? And I was like, I don't know. I wasn't expecting to have this kind of relationship with my vet, after one appointment. I'm not prepared for this. And so I said, just tell them whatever you want. It doesn't. And then she's like, but it's your dog, ! And so finally I had to say to her, look, I haven't announced that we have this puppy yet because I'm on the radio. I have certain things, we have storylines for our radio shows and whatever that the world actually doesn't know that my other dog has died yet. So as long as you're not identifying him as my dog, tagging me, whatever the hell you're doing, you could tell them whatever. Really, at the end of the day, make up any fucking name that you want and tell them that's what won. I don't care. Because again, if you want to use me as part of your contact, it's going to cost you, girly friend. It is going to cost you. Just like when we had a greeting card line of pictures of Ernie and Basil and we licensed their photos to a greeting card company, No, you're not allowed to take pictures of my dogs, and because they ended up being a real lucrative part of our business, truthfully. And this isn't me just being a diva. We had licensing deals. So when people would go and say like, "Oh, your dogs are so cute. Oh, can I save that picture? Can I send that picture? Can I post that picture?" No, you're not allowed to, because it's licensed to somebody else. So you need to check with them. And that's just the way things go, right? So I mean, I'm not stupid. I'm not giving free content for something like that. The dog pictures, and if I'm being totally candid, which I have now because I've burned through half of the show voicing my opinion on these topics, we have made a shit ton of money off of licensed photos of my dogs. So for all the people who are out there, now I'm giving you advice as an entrepreneur. All the people who are whoring out pictures of your dogs and getting all the likes and whatever, license your photos to photo agencies, greeting card companies, whoever. If you like, golden retrievers are the most popular breed of dog, and I've proven that by the amount. In 1 year, my dogs had made more than somebody on minimum wage, and minimum wage in my province in Canada is, I don't even know what it was at the time, at least over $10 an hour. So the fact that they are pulling in $30,000 a year, whatever it might have been in 1 year, for just sitting for pictures of them, because we were already taking these pictures anyway, so why not? I mean, that's pretty... Let me pat myself on the back. That's pretty fucking brilliant, if I'm being truthful with you, right? I mean, who can make that much money just off of pictures of their dogs? Unless you have an OnlyFans account and you're stripping down and you're, wanking it for people to see on camera, then absolutely you can pull in that kind of money. But I'm talking about dog pictures. I'm not talking about sex and nudity and all that other fun stuff. And I hope your posts aren't including dogs with your nudity. Please don't. It's not where I'm going with that. So anyway, so that's where it's just kind of like, you do it as a social media post and get your followers or whatever to vote, and that's engagement and whatever. But like, no, you're not all of a sudden like, he's not your spokes dog and whatever. And that's the thing, right? I mean, I'm sure she's used to people just going like, "Oh my God, I'd love for you to post the picture of our dog. Oh yeah, that's great. Oh, that's so fun. And I'll share it and I'll tag it." That's just not how, we haven't announced that my dog is dead, so I don't have this puppy yet. You know what I'm like, the way I'm saying it, right? My dog is still alive. According to my listeners and my readers in the newspaper and whatever, my dog is still alive. So it's going to be very awkward if all of a sudden I have this new quote unquote replacement dog when people are just like, "Oh, so you've got 3 dogs now? Like, how does this?" No, it's not quite, And that's just the way my life is, right? My life isn't posted in real time. So when my dog dies, he actually died, a couple weeks or even a couple months ago, just because we have scheduling and programming already lined up with radio stations and things like that. So last year or 2 years, whatever it was, a year and a half ago, when my dog Basil died, he died in August. At the end of yes, he died at the end of August. Sorry, he died at the beginning of September. Thank you, September 9th. Thank you, Bonnie. Oh my God, that was awkward. He died beginning of September that year. We didn't announce it for almost 2.5 months until towards the end of November, because we were putting together special radio programming. We were, working on getting celebrity guests. We did a tribute video and kind of things like that, because it was content for our radio shows. So, that's... Anyway, nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Anyway, but I'd like to know your thoughts on businesses texting you. Let me get back to our initial point. Texting from businesses, and then also this whole thing about the creepy, like, taking pictures of your house and sending you laminated copies of that. Like, is that just strange? It just kind of makes you think what people are doing in your neighborhood. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble with another thought-provoking segment to get you wondering, why the hell do I listen to this guy? The other day I went, Why did I go grocery shopping with my mom? See, I went for lunch with her. She wanted me to try this new crepe place because I'd never eaten a crepe before. And quite honestly, I didn't know what a crepe was. And so we were going to this thing, and then she needed to go grocery shopping after. And so I said, fine, whatever. And we go to the grocery store. I usually have groceries delivered. So that's also where I was like, why was I at the grocery store? Look, we have this stuff brought to us. So we went to the grocery store, and I enjoy certain types of food. I really like different kinds of salad dressing. I like chicken. I like fish. I love cheese. I'm interested in different kinds of yogurt. So there's just different things that I kind of experiment with. And I do love a really good fresh fish, because where I'm from in Manitoba, there, whether it's ice fishing or if it's summer fishing, you can get some really good fresh fish from the lake that's just about half hour north of the city. Okay. And so I actually don't shop at that grocery store. So when I saw the meat counter and they've got the actual fresh chicken breasts, and then there was meat, and then there was, whatever, they slice their own bacon and things. I was like, oh, this is a pretty cool store. Okay, cool. And so I go, and there was this package of fish that had a whole bunch of discount stickers on it. And, I love a bargain, right? But when it comes to discounted meats and fishes, I'm sort of I'm a little bit leery, right? Because I understand this whole best before date isn't an expiration. Doesn't mean that your milk is going sour on the next day, right? That's just a recommendation. If you do the research, you can see these stories that tell you that. And so with the meats, though, I'm always kind of a little bit, that's one I don't really want to play with. So the fact that there were, I think it was about 3 or 4 different discount stickers on this package of fish. So it ended up being, I think it was $15 off. I'd have to ask my mom. I'm pretty sure there was a $5 and then I don't remember what it was. But anyway, it totaled about $15 off. So the package of fish was still about $5 or $6. And I noticed that, and I held it up, and I showed my mom. I said, oh, look at this discount fish. And she's like, I'll get you some from the guy. My parents have a guy out at the lake. They have a cottage out there. They've got a guy. And I said, okay, well, whatever. But this is $15 off. If you have it today or whatever, it's not. I went and put it down, and I'm not kidding. We had to also be wearing masks in the store because of the corona. I could smell the fish on my fingers. Now, remember, this was still wrapped in a package and everything. I'm not even talking I was holding raw fish in my hand. I was holding a styrofoam package with the wrap on it, the plastic wrap on it. And as we're walking through the store, I am still smelling it. So even through your mask, you're still smelling this fish. And so then I lift up my hands. I was kind of yeah, it's my fingers. And I was only holding this thing for a couple seconds. My mom gives me a wet nap kind of, sanitary thing. And so I go and I clean my hands and I throw in the garbage. And then I said to her, I smell the alcohol from the wipe and I still smell the fish. It's crazy. And so she said, well, imagine how your kitchen is going to have that fishy smell when you cook fish. I said, well, isn't that normal? Doesn't fish smell like fish? Isn't that, that's like bacon has a bacony smell. I don't know what that meant. Fish has a fishy smell. Okay. Apparently she means that it's going to smell bad. It's going to smell rotten or expired, let's say. But I love fish. The smell of this, though, kind of turned me off for a little while. I was like, you know what? I don't think that I want to have fish for a bit. So is there a food that you love that maybe you just can't stand the smell of? I'll give you another example. I love garlic. People don't love garlic when you have as much as I do. There was a time, believe it or not, when I was in how old was I working at Party City? I would have been 21 when I worked at Party City. And I was just obsessed with garlic. I was putting it in Caesar salads. I was putting it on pizza. It was literally coming through my pores, one of my coworkers had told me. And it was noticeable. So when I'm walking around the retail store and, people get close to me, they're like, you smell like garlic. That's just ridiculous. It's pretty crazy. And we had a restaurant in the city at the same time called Gilroy, which is known for garlic, right? They have this in California. And that was my favorite restaurant of all time. They closed shortly after, but it was the menu, had everything garlic in it. There was garlic wine. There was literally everything, desserts had garlic in it. It was great. I was a little bit overdoing it from what people had told me. So it's one of those things that if you're eating it and you love the smell, well, that's fine, whatever. If you live on your own, well, then who cares if my house or my fingers or whatever smell like garlic? I don't care. But, as I get older, I'm kind of okay, maybe the smell is a little bit offensive. But there's just something, as a Ukrainian and Polish guy, I'm kind of I grew up around this stuff. It's great. Who cares? Is there something that you like, but you don't like the smell of? Or on the flip side of that, Is there something that you don't like but you love the smell of? Case in point, I've never had a sip of coffee in my life. Never. Isn't it interesting that I go and start a coffee line with my husband, and I've still, to this day, never had a sip of coffee. I kind of will like the smell of it sometimes. Like, there's just some of those times where in the morning it kind of just, it's a morning type smell. So when he's Brazilian, he loves coffee. He's making it, I'm kind of like, all right, I kind of like the smell. Do I want a cup? No, I'm never going to have a cup. Same thing with orange. I love the smell of orange. I won't eat an orange like that. It's stringy. I don't like the texture of it. Love orange juice. Love other things, flavored orange, but not an actual orange itself. Love the smell of orange. Same thing with cranberries. I've started to eat cranberries over the last while, like drinking, cranberry juice, things like that. But I always loved the smell of cranberry candles at Christmas time. That I just really enjoyed that. But never really liked eating them. And I'm going back about 10, 15 years. Now I'm more adventurous with what I eat. So is there something that you... two sides to that, right? Is there something that you love but hate the smell of, or you love the smell of but hate to consume? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com. One of my colleagues earlier had said, I love the smell of gasoline. You're not consuming that. Jeez. I hope you're not, anyway. Although, based on your work sometimes, Tim, I think you might be. So, live@jbonair.com is the email address. So, tell me what you think. Don't you just love that garlic smell, though, when it's fried? Like if you go to somebody's house and you're having... whatever it is that you're having. Like, again, in our family, it's not uncommon for a house to smell like garlic when we're having Christmas dinner or whatever it is, just because that's what we cook with. So, I like that. I'm talking about the smell on your body. I'm not talking about the aroma in the air. Same thing with Subway. I love the smell of, like, Subway bread when I go in there, but I feel sometimes the bread isn't the greatest. It's kind of, but I like the smell. So if there's any consolation, I'm not knocking Subway. I've eaten there. I will eat there, but... live@jbonair.com is the email address. We're back right after this.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter @The Scribble Show and @thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. I just got an email and we've got, 2 minutes left? Crap. Talking about businesses and emails and texts, whatever. So have you ever had a company go and say, oh, well, we're booked, and oh, well, we can't, our next opening is, a week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now. And then when you reply back and say, not a problem, you know what, I'll go with somebody else. Suddenly, isn't it a miracle how all of a sudden a time slot can open up for you? This is a consumer tip from me to you, free of charge. Try this, right? Like, I'll give the example. It's not about carpet cleaning, but let's just say that, or something where you feel like it's timely, right? Oh, I need my doorknob is broken. I need it now. Well, we won't be able to get out there for, a week and a half. I reply back to the email. Not a problem. I can get somebody else. Well, we could squeeze you in at 4:30 today, and it's like, oh, but I thought you were totally booked. Like, so you almost sort of call their bluff and go, not quite as busy as it. Like, I understand you absolutely want to. Same thing with like at a spa when you go for a massage. This is one that always gets me, where you can call there and go, oh, well, we don't have any openings today. The next one would be 9 days from now or whatever it is, and then you go and say, oh, nothing today? Like, you can't even just do it? Like, you just kind of push them, and they're like, oh, yeah, we actually could. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Let's do this, right? So, has that ever happened to you? Have you played hardball, and then they're kind of, you call their bluff, and then it's like, oh, yeah, oh, no, you know what? Wouldn't you believe it? As luck would have it, we can get you in today or tomorrow, whatever it is. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com. I realize that when, I tell all these stories also sort of in jest at some point, but, I like to get people talking, and no, I'm not a Karen. I'm not one of those, well, that's fine. If you can't accommodate, I'll take my business elsewhere. I just go and say, not a problem. Well, we got somebody who can do it quicker. Like, it's not a problem. I mean, I don't tell you off because, such and such. We did have a guy, I don't have time to tell you the story. Can you guys... No, they're not going to remind me. We had a guy who reached out to our swimwear line, Happy Bulge Swim Company, and just like laid into us about like not having his size and how we are discriminating against larger people, and you know, I can't support a company. It's like, you reached out on social media, like we weren't spamming you, we weren't you are contacting us. Why are you're just telling us off, and you don't even exactly know why we don't have your size, because there's a story why we don't have the size 46 waist, but it's because suppliers will have minimum order quantities of 100 or 1,000, and there's not that much of a demand. We're out of time. My name is Jeremy Bradley on The Scribble. Talk to you next week.
Want
Bye.
more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,